Because of the severe weather last week, you are getting my virtual classroom instead of my amazing face. And so we're going to continue practicing hand control. Last week we did a directed draw and you had to follow along to draw an owl. This week we're actually practicing coloring and tracing. So continue watching this video to learn how to do your assignment. Oh, I almost forgot. Before you finish watching this video, make sure you go back to my virtual classroom in Seesaw and click on this beautiful painting by Kandinsky to read the book, The Dot Together. So this week we're making our very own dot, just like Vashti. And I have pulled some materials from around the house. I actually have a can of sparkling water and a CD, and I'm going to trace some circles. You can find any number of circles in your house. Just make sure you find ones that are easier to trace. And you're going to start with the largest circle first and then work your way down to the smallest circle. So when you're practicing tracing, make sure you hold your object down so it can't move. Don't let it wiggle, don't let it jiggle. It needs to stay in place the entire time that you're tracing your object. And you may have to reposition your hand, but if you do that, make sure you don't let your object move if you change the positions of your hand. Also, make sure that after you've traced your largest circle and you're working your way down to your medium and your small circles, that they're positioned directly in the center. This will make your dot look better and make it look more professional. While you're tracing, also make sure you're using a light pressure, so you're drawing light lines. That way you can easily erase if you've made a mistake. If you're pressing down really, really hard, it's going to be very hard for you to erase your lines. You saw me really quickly bring another circle onto screen. I was going to trace it, but then noticed it was way too squishy and that it would not be good to trace. So I would not have a good circle. So instead, I decided to trace the middle circle in my CD. This also made it really easy to position my last circle right in the center. Now you're just waiting on me to pick out my crayons. We're going to color it. If you don't have crayons, you can use markers, colored pencils, and continue watching to the end of this video to make sure that you are coloring correctly and to see what level you're on when you're coloring. Notice that I'm really taking my time to make sure all of the circle is colored. There are no white spaces showing, and I'm making sure that I'm not going outside of the beautiful lines that I've drawn. So now I have 2 tips for you to help you stay inside the lines. The first tip, I am going around the outside of the circle with my crayon and kind of making a barrier so I know not to get too close to this line. While I'm making my barrier, you're going to notice that I'm going to keep turning my sketchbook. Your hand naturally colors in a curve, and so you want to constantly turn your paper so you don't have to change the position of your body. You can just change the position of your paper. It's a whole lot easier. And your hand is going to follow the curve of that circle every time you change your paper. If you would like to try an experiment, trace 2 circles, and in one circle, constantly turn your paper as you're coloring, and on the other, leave your paper still, and see how much better the colored circle is where you turned your paper than the other one. Now, it may look like I'm going super fast because I sped up the video, but I'm actually really taking my time here, and look at how often I am turning my paper. On my last circle, not only did I do a border on the outside of the circle, but I also did a border on the inside of the circle. Now while you're coloring, I want you to think of it a little bit like a video game. So you have to gain experience to level up, and to gain experience you have to practice. Everybody's going to start out on level 1, but we're all looking to practice, gain experience, and level up. So I want you to take a look at this paper right here. This paper will tell you what level of craftsmanship that you're on. And if you're using a crayon, you're just looking at the top row. And everybody's goal is to just level up. So if you're starting on a level 1, I want you to move to a level 2. If you're starting on a level 2, I want you to move to a level 3, and so on and so forth. So your job is to just work at getting better at coloring and gaining more hand control. If you really want to check your levels, pause this video. When you finish coloring, hold it up next to it, see what level you're on, and then see if you can improve at all. Good luck!